Well, welcome to Valley Hoops Insider Podcast, part of the Valley Hoops Insider website. I'm Harry Schroeder, editor of the site, and obviously the host of this show today. And super excited to have the athletic director from Belmont University, Scott Corley, on with us today to talk all about that process of them joining the Missouri Valley Conference. Want you folks to get to know Mr. Corley and the Belmont program a little bit. We're going to talk all that over with our new friend, Scott Corley, and there he is. Before we talk about all that stuff, I had just a delightful time a couple of weeks ago. The Bruins were in town playing the St. Louis University Billikens, and I'm sitting there at press row, and they snuck this guy in next to me that didn't have a name tag. His name wasn't on the seat, and I'm like, who is this guy? And it's the athletic director for the Belmont Bruins. And I had a blast just hanging out with you, watching basketball with you.
That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it as well, Harry, and thanks for having me on this. You know, I tend to like to sit, you know, in some ADs sit in the stands and do all that. I like to be closer to the action, and you probably got a couple elbows from me as we were struggling through that game at times. And, you know, it ended up a great victory for us. But I did enjoy getting to spend time with you and learning about what you do and learning more about St. Louis and the Missouri Valley and all those good, fun stuff.
Yeah, there were a couple of rebounds I was getting blocked out for. I got it. It was just so it was a great time. Fifth year, I think, for you as the athletic director there. But way back in the middle 1980s, Rick Byrd's first signee to the basketball program. Talk about how you ended up at Belmont. I mean, I know you're from that area, but how did you end up there with Belmont and with Coach Byrd?
Yeah, I grew up just down the road in Brentwood, Tennessee. And, you know, actually Don Purdy, who was the Belmont coach my junior year, started to recruit me. Didn't know a whole lot about Belmont. I knew they were just down the road from David Lipscomb, which was a dominant NAIA program under legendary head coach Don Meyer. And so I got to know a little bit about Belmont. Don ended up switching jobs, and Coach Byrd took over my recruiting. And I didn't know anything about Coach. He probably didn't know anything about me, which may be a blessing. If he saw me play, he may not have liked my game. But, you know, what I loved about it is just being able to be in my hometown. I actually attended on an academic scholarship, the Jack Massey Scholarship at the time, which was a full ride. And that was important to me, the way that scholarship worked. It was getting me internships in the business community during the summer. So, you know, all of that, when I looked at the picture, and I really liked the idea of being on the ground floor with a new coach. Don Meyer was recruiting me heavily, and they had just come off a national championship. And there was, you know, a lot that you could be said for that, wow, what a winning program. But I really love the idea of coming in and helping build something at Belmont. And I never would have thought, you know, 35 years later or whatever it is, we'd be where we are today. But it was just such a wonderful experience for me. I learned so much. Getting to play for Coach Byrd was a true blessing. Learned so many life lessons from him, and then got a great degree. And it's just kind of crazy how it's come full circle where I'm now the AD for my alma mater.
7 or 8 years ago when we started this website, I started to get to know the OVC. Didn't know the OVC very much. Had heard a lot about Dave Luce because he's from here, and Coach Byrd because he was legendary, and have just fallen in love with the OVC and a number of those programs. And while you guys are on your way out of that particular conference, the OVC, and of course you guys were in several transitions. You were talking the NAIA and then moving on up, and the Horizon, the ASUN, I guess it was, and then the OVC. It's been a journey, hasn't it, for the Belmont athletic program?
It has. It's been a wonderful journey in so many ways. I mean, back when we were making the move from NAIA to Division I, that wasn't really happening.
No, and
that's a huge leap of faith, of resources, of those types of things, and obviously, Coach Byrd had established himself at the NAIA level, and I think really helped the transition. The key was certainly keeping Coach Byrd, you know, engaged, because those are difficult years, as everyone knows. When you're transitioning, don't have a tournament opportunity, those types of things, it's very hard to recruit. But to get through that transition, then to get into a conference like the Atlantic Sun, which was a great fit for us at the time, to have success, clearly getting into the NCAA tournament was a game changer. And it really coincided with the Belmont University's growth. And really, as Nashville's grown and Belmont's grown, those all came together at almost the same time. The year we lost to Duke in the NCAA tournament by 1 point, we held the presidential debate later that year. And I think two of those events really helped get Belmont on the map nationally. And from that time in 07, the growth here has been amazing. And so, when we made the move from the ASUN to the OVC, it was just a natural move for us at the time. And the OVC has been great for us. Love the league. Think a lot of Beth DeBush, the commissioner, and those types of things. But again, as we grew as a university, we certainly had a change in president. You start looking at things differently. And that really was the beginning of the discussions to make the move to the Missouri Valley. So it's just, it's a unique journey in a lot of ways. In a short amount of time, we've gone from an NAIA school to playing in one of the top basketball conferences in the country, let alone all the other sports that are really good in the Missouri Valley.
Before we leave your playing career, 2,000 points, over 400 triples out of that left-handed jumper. Come on, you don't take your game down too low.
Well, you're kind. As Coach Bird would always say, I shot it a lot, so that's how I got all those points. But I was blessed to be involved and around some great players. We had a post player, Joe Bailing, who was an AI Player of the Year. So you feed the ball into him, and you get the ball kicked out to you. You get some open looks, but I appreciate you saying that. I'm proud of my career. The individual stuff is neat, and to be recognized for that. But I was most proud of being the first team to get to the NAIA national tournament my junior year, and to be in ranked number 1 and number 2 in the country at times during the year. Those are what I remember the most, and clearly the relationships of a lot of my teammates were still very close. So it's great.
Municipal Auditorium in Kansas City.
It was in Kansas City. It was Kemper Arena, though.
Oh, Kemper Arena. That's right, back then.
I mean, I'm used to playing in front of a 2,000 seat, closed in arenas, and you go to Kemper, and it's like I was shooting on an island. The goal felt like it was on an island.
Those are interesting things. I announced some games there a couple of years ago, and the NAIA national championships are crazy. I mean, it's a wild tournament.
It is. A lot of good talent.
So you graduated, went into the business world, the banking world in a significant way for a long time. What drew you back to taking a job at Belmont?
I tell people all the time, the best decision I made is when I graduated, I was going to stay involved at Belmont. And I stayed involved, whether it was being a fan, coming to the games, whether it was giving money through the Bruin Club. I was president of the alumni board for 4 or 5 years. And so I stayed connected because it's a place I care about. But also, Harry, I really respected, even when I wasn't in the inside, just the way Mike Strickland built the athletic department. He was a previous AD who helped us transition from NAIA to Division I. The way we went about our business, I really respected the emphasis on academics, those types of things. So I was really always felt connected to Belmont in the way they handle their business. And so I got to know a lot of people through those different avenues, got to know a lot of board of trustees. Obviously, Dr. Fisher, who was the president who hired me, I got to know him being on the alumni board. And so, when Mike finally called, and Mike and I would go have lunch periodically, and he would say, "Hey, I'm gonna hang it up at some point," but he always had one more project he wanted to get completed. So I never know if it was really going to happen or not. And I do think God had a hand in all this, because my kids, I was about to be an empty nester the year Mike retired. And if Mike would have retired 5 years sooner, I probably wouldn't even applied for the job, because I would have wanted to watch my kids play sports growing up. If it would have happened 5 years later, which is where we are today under a new president, I'm not sure that new president would take a chance on a Scott Corley, because he wouldn't know who I am like Dr. Fisher did. So when Mike called me and said he was retiring at the end of May, this was February of 16, he encouraged me to think about doing it. And, it was kind of that put up or shut up moment. Went back to my wife, talked about it, prayed about it. And a good friend of mine said at one point, he goes, "What do you have to lose? And you would regret it if you didn't try." And that really put it in perspective to, I had a good banking career. If I didn't get the job, I'll still have that good banking career. But it gives me an opportunity to do something really different to give back to a place I love. And when I decided to put my name in the hat, I was going to give it all. And, 113 people applied, and somehow I convinced Dr. Fisher I was the guy.
Well, I think they landed the right guy, something you're passionate about too. I mean, it's very clear that you're passionate about the university and you love sports and you love that whole engagement. It seems like the perfect fit from way over here in St. Louis. Well,
I appreciate that. It's easy to sell something you're so passionate about and believe in. And hopefully that does come across, because there's just so much positive things going on in this campus and have been for years. And for me now to be a part of it, to help lead a group of amazing coaches and staff. And it's true. I wouldn't have this job if it wasn't for the staff, the experienced staff, because it wasn't broken. Our department wasn't broken. And if it was, I probably wouldn't have hired me, because I wouldn't know what type of people to bring in. So I'm forever grateful for people who have given so much before me and are still here with me. And so, so hopefully that does come across that I'm forever grateful. I don't have any desire to have another AD job. So I think that also shapes how you focus and attack the day every day. I mean, I want to be here till they don't want me anymore. And I want to continue to see this program, who I've invested so much over the years, continue to succeed.
So I want to take you back to last summer. Jeff Jackson gets the job as the commissioner of the Missouri Valley Conference, and he takes over July 1. And varying accounts, like I watched all the press conferences. I talked to Mr. Jackson, talked to different people, and varying accounts are he called you guys in June or maybe July, but he didn't get the job till July 1. It doesn't matter whether he was cheating 1 month early or not. What I'm saying is he's an aggressive guy. I mean, he was on it. Take us through that process just a little bit.
Well, Harry, as you know, a lot of these decisions are at the presidential level, so timing is everything. And I think Jeff coming in new corresponded really well with our new president, Greg Jones, coming in at almost the same time. And, there's obviously, we know things have been are the musical chairs right now with memberships and things like that. So to Jeff's credit, as a new guy, he had known Missouri Valley, had an interest in Belmont before. We've always appreciated the Missouri Valley's interest in us, but we felt very good about, again, the OVC and what it provided and things like that. But Jeff made the call to Greg Jones, Dr. Jones. He likes to be called Greg. And I think that initial conversation was well received by both parties. And Greg called me and said, "Hey, what do you think?" And I said, I think it's time we really listen to what their story, their vision, how we would fit into it, and also for them to get to know us better. And it's amazing how quickly it moved, because everything was aligned on our side as well. I mean, with some of the disruptions going on in the OVC, with some departures, just trying to figure out the landscape, I would be negligent if I wasn't trying to see what else is out there, what are the options, things like that. But it moved quickly, because our board chair, to Greg, to myself, we all saw the value of moving to the Missouri Valley and felt the timing was right. And, I think the Missouri Valley felt very, good about us. And so for that to all come together and be done in a few short months was exciting. It was also like, whoa, this is moving pretty fast. I hope I'm not missing anything here. But, we did as well as we could with the due diligence and all that good stuff. And then, quite honestly, Harry, we wanted to handle our business the right way with the OVC. And there's not an easy way to ever do that. No. But we felt it was best to let the OVC know as soon as possible what our intentions were, so then they could figure out their next moves. And because initially there was discussion, hey, when do we announce this? Do we wait till after the basketball season? Do we do it in the middle of the basketball season? And I think Greg and I both came to the conclusion that the right thing to do is let Beth and the presidents know, so they can, make plans accordingly.
There's an urban legend, and it's more than a legend. I believe it to be true. that your former president, when the Valley talked to them like 10 years ago, said they had just joined the OVC, and they said, you know, we just got in here and we can't think about this until we've been in the OVC 10 years. Like, it was just kind of like, we need to be committed to where we're at. And then in year 9 or 10, whatever it's turned out to be, Jeff Jackson called you guys and, okay, now is the time. Do I have that story nearly correct?
You know, I haven't heard that one. I know, knowing Dr. Fisher the way I do, that wouldn't surprise me that, you know, he would make a commitment to whatever we're going into. I never heard a timeline on it. Again, OVC was great for us. It's a bus league, you know, so your student athletes aren't missing as much class time, things like that. And I think that was very appealing to all of us at the time. And but I hadn't heard that 10-year commitment. No.
Reliable sources. I have reliable sources. I'll just tell you that much. So you guys come in, and for the Missouri Valley people that are on my website and follow me on Twitter and so forth, tell people they know a little bit about your basketball program. They know that the women's basketball program is really good as well. Tell us about 2 things. Tell us, why do people come to Belmont? Why are students there? Meaning, like, what is it well known for on the academic side?
Sure. Predominantly our music business program is really, really strong. It was one of the pioneers that started it years ago, obviously we're literally 5 minutes from Music Row, and I think certainly the appeal of Nashville. But, you know, we have a lot of students that come here as performers, but also behind the scenes in learning the business side, from production to camera to, you know, we have songwriting majors. I mean, things like that. And so some of our notable alums are Brad Paisley, Trisha Yearwood, just to name a few. Florida Georgia Line, one of their members was a baseball player here. So we are, you know, we have a lot of that type of, you know, and it's theater, it's production, it's all of that. And so we draw from all over the country because of our reputation as a music business school. But I would also say, you know, our business school is extremely strong. Our MBA program is well recognized. You know, we've got now, I would say, nursing. Our nursing program is amazing. We have several student athletes that are part of the nursing program, which can be unique at a lot of places. A lot of athletic departments say you don't have time to be a nurse. Well, we make it work, and that's been great to see the nursing program grow. We've got an amazing College of Law. It's got one of the highest bar passage rates in the country. So, you know, we like to think we do everything with excellence. But I would say those are a few of the bigger things. And then just the draw to Nashville has been really huge for our university. But it's a circular relationship. I think we've been good, along with Lipscomb, Vanderbilt, TSU, Fisk, all the schools. We got several great high quality college institutions that have helped make Nashville what Nashville is, and Nashville helps make all our universities what we are.
And so you have those programs, but then you knock it out of the park. Your GPA for your school and for your athletes is just phenomenal, which was, to me, as big, I don't know if as big, but certainly nearly as big a draw for the Missouri Valley to come courting, because they're super into academics as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good fit. We take so much pride in it. And it goes back to Coach Bird, but also Mike Strickland. As he was making the move, he made a concerted effort to say, we want to be known for our academics as well. I mean, 40 plus semesters with department GPA over 3.0. You know, the department GPA the past fall was over 3.5. We didn't have one program under a 3.4. It's pretty phenomenal. And it's part of our culture now. And our coaches understand the type of student athletes to go recruit. And we also understand at the end of the day, 99.5% of our athletes are not going to play professionally. And the education is the biggest part of it. And so we've always taken pride in that. We've won the academic award in the 18 out of the last 20 years. When you look at the ASUN and the OVC, we've won it every year in the OVC. So I hope that was attractive to the Missouri Valley, because that should be. At the end of the day, I think it's a testament to the type of to our culture and in the way, again, we want to do everything with excellence, and that includes academics.
So you guys join in and make it all official in September, and then of course the drums are still beating. The Valley's going to add more, 1 more, 2 more, 3 more, 10 more teams, whatever rumor you happen to read. And of course, in 2017, I guess it was, Murray came very close to joining the Missouri Valley. At least that's what we read and what we believe. And all along, it seemed like they might be the next team to come along. Talk about just from your vantage point, the excitement maybe of the Racer program coming along.
Yeah, very excited about it. I mean, we've developed a great rivalry with them on all sports, but particularly men's basketball. I mean, there've just been some classic battles as we've been in the Ohio Valley together. But I've got a lot of respect for the school. I got a lot of respect for President Jackson and Kevin Saul, the AD. I like the way they go about business, and I think they're a great fit for the Valley, and it certainly for us being 2.5 hours away, 2 hours away from a geographical standpoint for us, that feels good. I definitely believe we've made the Valley men's basketball and women's basketball better, and so that excites me as well. So I think overall, fan bases may,
they don't like each other that much.
They don't like each other very much, but I think for us it was a good addition to the Missouri Valley.
How much were you guys involved in those conversations? Meaning, like as they were courting Murray State, I'm sure they talked to you guys, got input from the Belmont leadership.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't. I mean, if they asked, we would answer the question and give an opinion. We're obviously not a voting member at this point in time. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure what level of discussion Jeff had with Greg Jones, our president. I'm sure there were some phone calls, but if asked, we gave our honest opinion, and it was similar to what I just shared on this Zoom.
So we continue to think there's going to be 1 more team or 3 more teams or whatever. And, the rumors are about UIC, Illinois, Chicago coming, or UT Arlington or Kansas City. So you want to break a big story right here and tell us who's next?
I'm not sure I want to do that, Harry, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't have any news to share with you. I think there's probably some discussion on right now. We're back up to 11. How does 11 feel versus 12 from scheduling, those types of things. But I don't have any news to break. Sorry.
That was my big shot right there. So, frankly, I don't remember ever hearing Nick Muszynski sing. So I don't think he's in that part of your school. But I do want to talk about the Bruins this year. Off to a great start. They, I think this week, finally got a vote or two in some of the national ranking polls. And but for years and years under Coach Bird, now under Casey, you guys have just had such a great, consistently outstanding basketball program. What do you like about your team this year?
Well, certainly experience is crucial in a wacky couple of years we've had with all the COVID interruptions and still facing that this year. I think to have an experienced team like we do with, 4 or 5 graduate 5th-year seniors, Nick Muszynski being one, working on his MBA, and just the winning culture and the winning ways that group of players has been able to, what they've accomplished over their 4 years. And the fact that we didn't have the outcome last year that we wanted, they're very hungry this year. But you take that and you combine it with some good young talent. Will Richards is playing phenomenal basketball as a true freshman. Ben Shepard only continues to get better as a junior. Jacoby Wood coming off the bench has just been really good. So I love it's a good mix. In the talent level is really good where, we can score in so many different ways. It's a very unselfish team. I think our last game we had, 25 assists out of 30 field goals. I mean, you get the idea. That math may not be exactly right, but it's a very unselfish team. And, at the end of the day, Casey Alexander and his staff do a great job. They're always prepared, and they're always going to be ready to play.
I was on a podcast prior to that Billiken Bruin game that you and I sat next to, and the guy was a St. Louis University podcaster, and he said, well, tell me about Belmont. And I was telling them some things. And I said, no, listen, I think it was the day before the game. I said, tomorrow at some key point, there's going to be a timeout and an out of bounds play. And the Bruins are going to run something. I don't know what it's going to be. And they're going to make a layup, and it's going to be at a crucial time. And you're going to be cussing, it's just, that's the way it's going to be. And the guy, he said he was watching the game at home, and sure shooting late in the game. There's a timeout. Casey runs some play. They make a layup. And he said, I'm watching my TV. And he said, I'm yelling your name. I said, oh, listen, I've watched these guys. I've watched Coach Bird. I've watched Casey. Yeah. They are such tacticians and obviously good motivators, but the tactical side to me is what is amazing when I watch Belmont Bruin basketball.
Well, I couldn't agree more. I mean, the high quality shots that they get out of timeouts and the way they design plays to get the right play at the right time. I mean, even in that St. Louis game, we didn't really run many backdoor plays until probably the last 5 minutes, and we got like 3 of them. And so they have just a great feel, the coaching staff, and again, with the experience that we have, to know when to run that right play. And then the execution is usually spot on, and you end up getting the desired result.
They're outstanding. They play SEMO tonight. And really, on the Missouri Valley side, I'm sure Loyola is feeling the heat. They want to go out on top, right? And you guys in Murray State, same thing, leaving the OVC. You want to go out on top. And right now, when we look at the bracketologists, they say right now that Loyola, they just pick a team from a conference because they don't have one officially yet. Loyola is going to be the Valley representative. And then they have both Murray and y'all in the tournament. And so to me, it's kind of a crazy cross section and interconnection of all of these worlds. So do you keep kind of one eye on the Missouri Valley, or do you just have to stay on the eye on the prize?
No, I definitely keep track of it now. I want to see how the Valley's doing, and I'm interested to see which teams are playing well. And, certainly Loyola Chicago is having a great season, and, somewhat obviously disappointed they're not going to be part of the Valley. I mean, that was attractive to us, and but they've got to do what they think is in their best interest, just like we did. And so, yeah, I watch it. It is interesting that, right now the OVC probably has a greater chance of getting 2 teams in than the Valley at this point. But, a lot can happen. And, we've got so many games ahead of us still, and Murray both. But both Murray and Belmont, we've had a great start to the season against some really good competition. And hence the net rankings are pretty good right now.
Your team, the way they go about it, the Murray State, those games in particular this year and in years going forward, they're very special events, aren't they?
They are. I mean, when we go to Murray, it tends to be the ESPN game always, and that fan base comes out in droves. It's a wonderful atmosphere. It really is. Even as a visitor, and when I played, and I loved going into visiting arenas where it was hostile, and you just got to stay focused, and you got to play really, really well to win. And it's like that every time we go to their place. And then likewise, when they come here and on Saturday the 15th, I mean, I hope our fan base will come out and make it very difficult for them. And both teams are so good on their home courts, but it is a big event because it tends to be 2 really important conference games.
You guys and Murray on the way. And finally, tell us about a couple of your other sports. You're going to be politically correct, you're going to have to talk about all of them, but don't do that. Tell us a couple of them that the Missouri Valley people are going to go, oh, they have a good this or a good that.
Yeah, we've been really strong in cross country over the years, men and women. Our women just won the OVC cross country this year. Men came in second. So I'm excited to see how that translates into a very difficult Valley. Cross country and track and field are very good there. Our men's, I can't say men's tennis because Valley doesn't have men's tennis, but our tennis programs are getting better. We've made an investment in facilities here on campus, so I expect our women to be really good as we continue to grow in that area. Baseball, Dave Jarvis has been our coach for 25 plus years and just has done an amazing job of consistently being good. in the Valley, baseball is really a big step up. So we know we got our work cut out for us, but I think it'll help by us being in the Valley. I do think we'll be able to recruit better and better. Same in volleyball. When our volleyball team's getting better, we still got a ways to go, but we've been losing a lot of recruits to the Valley schools. Well, now we can take that off the box. We are a Valley school, and so why don't you come to Belmont and come to Nashville? So I'm excited. I mean, we've got to step up our game in every area. We know that, but that's what excited us about it, and that was part of the allure. Was we want that challenge, and so I think you're right. I could probably go down every sport, but I just think I think we're very solid in every sport. We're always going to have some that are in a different period of where they are in their program, but one thing we do pride ourselves on is consistency, and I want all our sports to succeed. Being a former men's basketball player, I think he's only going to do basketball and that wants that to succeed. That is not true. I know every athlete in every sport puts in the same amount of work and effort, and I want them to taste a championship at least once every 4 years, because that is what builds the ongoing. They come back, they stay involved, they give back. All those things are so important, and I want every student athlete to experience that.
That's Scott Corley. He's the athletic director at Belmont University, on their way to the Missouri Valley Conference, but right now trying to sew up an OVC championship this particular spring. Scott, appreciate your time. So excited you guys are joining the Valley, and good just to get to know you a little bit better here today.
Well, same here. I appreciate it, Harry. We are excited and can't wait to get there, but we got some work to do here, before we get there. But I appreciate the time and enjoyed it.
Well, that'll do it for this edition of the Valley Hoops Insider Podcast. Thanks for watching today. Remember, since you've been there, make it a better place. We'll see you again real soon.